New York. It's great to be with you guys today. Let me ask you a question. When I say the word negotiate, what do you think of? What comes to mind? Haggling, hostage. Conflict. What do these words have in common? You're immediately taken to that moment where you're sitting across from somebody and you're going over a deal and you're trying to put something together. But I'm going to introduce you to a couple new steps today, some behaviors before and after that discussion, which I call the bargaining discussion. This is going to make you a more confident and more effective negotiator. But before we get to that, I need to tell you a story about my former boss, Brian. You guys are going to love this one. Brian, let's just say he was a gunslinger. He was a deal maker. He'd come into work, he'd pick up the phone, he'd be negotiating, put it down, pick up a different phone, back and forth all day long. This guy had stamina like, at least I don't have, but you couldn't believe this. On the outside, this looked extremely effective. People thought, wow, this guy's a great negotiator. But when you looked a little bit deeper, that style was not very effective at all. And we're going to talk about the operate model today, which is a better way of approaching a negotiation than what Brian did. And don't worry, we'll come back to a couple of the missteps that he had. So refer to the first pages on your handout and you'll see the model. The first step of the operate model is your outcome. Start with the outcome, start with your end in mind. Your outcome is made up of two things. Number one is the result, hard business results. Cash flow, margin, schedule, T's and C's. That's a result-based negotiation. Now I want you to picture yourself. You're at the car dealer. You're sitting across from a car salesperson and they say, "What can I do to put you in a car?" You're not there to build a relationship with this person who probably 4, 5, 10 years down the road won't even be there. You're there to get the best deal for yourself. That's a result negotiation. Now, the other side of the outcome is the relationship. I want you to picture this. You're at your home, in the kitchen. You're standing next to your significant other. There's an open dishwasher and a pile of dishes on the sink. You see where this is going, right? She's going to load the dishwasher with her significant other. Does it matter if the knives are up or down? I'm getting a big yes. Folks, I'm here to tell you, it might matter in your house, but how you negotiate that is more important. That is a relationship negotiation, because if your hill to die on is whether the knives go in a certain way, your relationship's going to struggle. And in business, our outcomes are built of each of these. The mix is different between each negotiation, so start there. The next part of the operate model is your personal style. I'm going to go back to the audience for this one. Let me ask you guys this. If we were to do business together, what one word would describe how you do business? I see it. Trust. I hear trust. Anybody else? Partnership. Those are great. So a lot of times when I ask that question, it's partnership, relationship, integrity, trust, words along those lines. No, I kid you not, this really happened. I asked this question once and the guy raises his hand and he says, "Tooth and nail." Tooth and nail? Who wants to do business with the tooth and nail guy? What do you think that person who's putting out tooth and nail is getting back in their business relationships? Aggressiveness, defensiveness, that's right. Whatever you're putting out as part of your personal style, the foundation of this model is what's going to be coming back to you. So be aware of that. The next section is the environment, and I call this the win-win zone. The environment is where you set up mutually beneficial business partnerships, relationship building, easy to do business with, even social proof. If you spend time in your environment setting up a good relationship with the person who you will be negotiating with, even if it's a brief moment, you're going to do better down the road than if you don't do that. Because it's easier to give something to someone who likes you versus someone who's got an acrimonious relationship with you. Now let's go back to Brian, the gunslinging boss. Do you think he was setting up relationships with people? Not at all. So what would come back to him? People who were upset with him. And in his environment, he was teaching people that all they had to do was withstand the initial onslaught of his call, and they were the ones getting the good deal. That's why preparation, building your environment is so important. And that brings us to our next step, which is readiness. You need to get a few things ready. Number one is your business case, the quantitative and qualitative elements of your business case. The schedule, numbers, your leverage, your starter. Remember that, how important that is? Getting that ready to go. It also means you need to be ready. You need to be ready to negotiate. Now, Brian was ready to go first thing in the morning before the coffee was even poured. But his business case wasn't ready. He was firing without aiming. There is no negotiation without preparation. There are no knee-jerk negotiations. Finally, we have come to this point where we can bargain. We have built the relationship. We've created an environment. We've prepared. We're mindful of our outcome and our style. It is now time for the step called advocate. This is where we're sitting down at the table and we are actually negotiating with the person. And the bulk of today's program will cover techniques to make you a more confident and effective negotiator so you get better outcomes. All right, we've bargained. We've been at the table. Are we done? Oh, we're not done yet. I thought we had a deal. I was going to do this. You were going to do that. You don't remember? What happened, folks? Forgot to write it down. Prevent selective amnesia by following the final step, which is called the end. A contract, an MPA, contract amendment, a change order, an email between two people saying, I'm going to do this, and you're going to do that. You need to close your negotiations, and once you do that, you are done. Now you're finished. That's the operate model, folks, and it's going to be the basis of today's program. I'm really excited to deliver this. Are you guys ready to become better negotiators? All right, let's get started.